And some of the cases we're talking about would be ending birthright citizenship, which now comes to the fore. That was meant for the babies of slaves. It wasn't meant for people trying to scam the system and come into the country on a vacation. This was, in fact, it was the same date, the exact same date, the end of the Civil War. It was meant for the babies of slaves, and it's so clean and so obvious. But this lets us go there and finally win that case, because hundreds of thousands of people are pouring into our country under birthright citizenship, and it wasn't meant for that reason. It was meant for the babies of slaves. So thanks to this decision, we can now promptly file to proceed with these numerous policies and those that have been wrongly enjoined on a nationwide basis, including birthright citizenship, ending sanctuary city funding, suspending refugee resettlement, freezing unnecessary funding, stopping federal taxpayers from paying for transgender surgeries, and numerous other priorities of the American people. We have so many of them. I have a whole list. I'm not going to bore you, and I'm going to have Pam get up and say a few words, but there's really, she can talk as long as she wants, because this is a very important decision. This is a decision that covers a tremendous amount of territory.
Well, people have been saying that FBA is a cult. FBA is, was made up by Tariq Nasheed, and, they call it, you guys are the FBAs, or you guys are this. And what I want to do in this video today is put an end to that foolishness. FBA was not something that was made up by Tariq Nasheed. FBA was something that was created by Dr. Claude Anderson, people like Dr. Amos Wilson, even Elder Smalls, right? Even though Elder Smalls and Tariq, have their differences today, Elder Smalls, for many years, was one of Tariq Nasheed's teachers and taught all of the talking points way before there was an FBA. Dr. Claude Anderson, Dr. Amos Wilson, right? All of these men are catalysts in helping create the foundational Black Americans and what should be specifically for us. Also, a man like A. Philip Randolph. All of these people. So when you hear the term delineate or separating to be a distinctive group, this is not something that Tariq Nasheed created. Tariq Nasheed is carrying on the legacy of these elders. The Hidden Color series, he was able to bring a lot of these elders back to life, where a lot of these elders to the young people, they were not known. He was bringing these people back out and putting them back out into the limelight to highlight what the groundwork that these elders laid before us, right? So there's a lot of people, online, and I'm telling you, our biggest detractors are going to come from other FBAs. It's not going to just come from white folks or immigrants. It's going to come from other FBAs that don't want to change, that don't understand what it is that we're trying to do. Because, well, before I get into that, let's look at what the elder Dr. Claude Anderson was first saying. Check this out.
You said something earlier in an answer where you said that you talk about native blacks. And so that clearly sounds as if you are delineating native blacks versus someone that comes here from Bermuda or Jamaica or wherever they may they may come from. The purpose of that is what? Because you're on the surface, it would be like, hey, everybody here that's black gets treated a certain way. Why are you making that delineation?
That is an excellent point. You know why? Because you see, those people coming in from Jamaica or coming in from Africa, they have not been treated like black folk in this country. That's the first thing. And secondly, historically, they haven't had those historical experiences. They come in here voluntarily. When they come in here, they bring some cultural aspects from Africa. They can go back anytime they want. But the black people in this country are exceptional people. Nobody's been mistreated, maltreated like them. Black folk are exceptional. They're the only people that came here forcefully, one. Two, they're the only people that denied their humanity. Three, they were the only people denied a right to enjoy the fruits of their labor. Four, they were the only people denied the right to participate in government. Five, they were the only people denied the right to vote. Six, they were the only people denied the right to have an education. Seven, they were the only people denied the right to have a business. Eight, they were the only people that participated in every war that this country has had since its founding, but whose mother country has never been against this country. All those immigrants come from countries where they fought America, and they came in. And the seven, that they are the oldest and most patriotic people in the country. Not the Confederates in the South. They're not the most patriotic people waving the Confederate flag. The most patriotic people in this country are black people, native blacks, because you see 99% of all those blacks have been direct descendants of slaves. They've been here before 99% of all the other people ever arrived in this country. They are special people. And because they are special people, they need to be recognized, appreciated, and reparated for what they've done in this country and building this country. They're the ones that built the bridges, the roads, cut the timber, the trees, and cleared the land, raised the tobacco, cotton, indigo. They're the people that fought to raise in every war to protect this country. The people coming from Africa or coming from Jamaica didn't. They came here voluntarily. And the most important point on this is if you lump them with black folk, then you give the dominant white society a justification to say we don't owe black folk anything. Because you see, the blackness that's native, the blackness, black people's blackness is more than just color. It is their heritage, it's their history, it's their code of conduct, and more importantly, it is their badge of honor, and it symbolizes the indebtedness that this country has to them. This country does not have an indebtedness to people coming from Africa. They don't have an indebtedness to people coming in from the Bahamas. If you lump black folk in there, you deprive black folk of the benefit, the debt that's owed them. Don't do that.
Now, that was an interview, I believe, some say it wasn't 2018. I think that interview was like 2009, 2010, something like that. That was an interview from the past, right? And he was already using the term delineate or separate, right? And be a distinctive group. We are a distinctive people, right? We're not Jamaican, we're not Haitians, race-wise, yeah, but ethnically, as a group here in America, no, we're separate. Right, and we have our own arguments against the government. We have our own grievances, like any other, all these other black nations do, right? But they come here and they're able to cosplay as us and benefit off of what we're doing, right? So he's been calling this stuff out for years. So when you hear Tariq Nasheed say this, Dr. Claude Anderson was saying this for over 40 years, over 50 years. He was telling us, he was telling people how we should be moving as black Americans, right? Dr. Amos Wilson was telling us this, right? Dr. Naeem Akbar was telling us this, right? And so many people, like I said, A. Philip Randolph, the black man who created the black middle class. He was with the Pullman Porters. They've been telling us this, right? So now you just don't like Tariq Nasheed. Right? But Tariq Nasheed's talking points is not something he made up where we just a fringe group. And then another thing is what I want to say to some of my immigrant brothers and sisters. You don't like the term tether, right? But you know one thing I never see y'all doing, right? I never see you guys doing. You never ever. And I know this because half of my family comes from the other side. I know this. Watch this. Watch this. Y'all never, ever, 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 ever call out those groups that talk down on black Americans. Never. I've never seen any videos. Matter of fact, you know what? No. Every now and then I see maybe a Jamaican brother that's 10 toes down that do call out certain things. I'm not going to be a hypocrite. It does. But not to the level of what it should be. So now when you see black Americans calling out the very thing that you know, you get upset about it. How? How? Black Americans have always had an open door policy for immigrants, especially black immigrants, to come in. To this day, right? I'm FBA. I don't agree with everybody, right? I don't listen. If you're a black immigrant and you're not talking down on us, I don't want you kicked out the country. You can stay. That's me, right? You can stay because I'm FBA first, right? But I still love black people globally. I just love my group first, but I love all black people. As long as you're not talking down on us or trying to ingratiate yourself with the W man to go against us, right? But you need to know, that we ain't talking about y'all. We talking about the people that talk down against us. But let's look at what Tariq Nasheed had to say, right? And some of the talking points, right? Because now we done showed you where it come from. So now you ain't got to say that no more. You ain't got to leave disparaging comments. You ain't got to say Tariq made up something. Because if you do, now you just supporting W supremacy and you working for that W man.
We're the only group of people who are called divisive simply because we acknowledge our unique ethnic group. Do we not have a unique ethnicity? We either do or we don't. See, that's why when people start talking about divisiveness, they can never really say what it is and they start talking a bunch of straw man arguments. No, lineage is lineage. There's no ideology. Your lineage is your lineage. There is no leader, there is no group, there is no cult. Anytime people say that, that's usually Fed talk. Your lineage is your lineage. There's nothing wrong with acknowledging and then defining your lineage. We aren't Jamaican. We're not continental Africans. Okay, from where? If we're continental Africans, what nation state are we clicked in with? We don't get no dual citizenship in no Africa, so we're not going to be claiming to be some damn generic Africans. No, we have a very unique ethnic group. And the fact that we acknowledge it triggers people. Why does it trigger people? See, they want foundational Black Americans to be a permanent underclass without boundaries. When foundational Black Americans, when we delineate ourselves as a distinct ethnic group, that threatens the whole system that treats us as an undefined, exploitable underclass. See, other groups, they're allowed to have ethnic pride because they're not expected to play this role. We're supposed to be just undefined, and then everybody can just latch on to anything we do. You see, and also foundational Black American delineation that forces accountability for all of the anti-Black practices that go on. When we define who we are, that exposes mistreatment that we specifically face from white society and from non-FBA immigrants. Because a lot of people like to sit up here and blur identity so this accountability can't happen. So now that we've delineated, we can call out the musty Myron Gaines. Speaking of Myron Gaines is a cancer, and we've extrapolated that cancer. We don't let that cancer get among us. That's what you do to cancers. You identify it and then remove that shit. Because sometimes a cancer cell can start off looking like a regular cell, but it's dangerous. So you better know what a cancer cell is because it'll get inside of you and grow. We are the Candace Owens and these people who identify as Caribbean and African and all of that. We should have been delineating from that a long time ago. So now that we've delineated, now that we have different goggles on in order to see who's among us and what their agenda is, we can spot tethers a mile away now, and they hate that.
So you hear Tariq Nasheed basically echoing the same sentiments of the elders before us, right? But Dr. Claude Anderson wasn't finished. Like he really laid out some real important stuff, right? That people gotta, people gotta pick up what he's putting down, right? He went on the Rock Newman show back then and said this.
Okay, now the solution, the first thing I would tell Black folk do is understand, declare yourself to be a native people, native Blacks. You're the oldest population here. Point two, and then and declare your exceptionality. Say that you're entitled to things that have never been given to you. That you're exceptional people and you've been mistreated and maltreated. And say, and because of that, don't include me in these very broad, ambiguous groups. Get out of affirmative action. I have the dubious honor of writing the first affirmative action plan in the United States in 1970-71 for the state of Florida. I wrote that plan not for minorities, I wrote it for Black folk, but it was diluted and watered down and corrupted about 6 or 7 months after I wrote it. It went all over the country, saying it was for affirmative action for all people. Mm-hmm. And so I want Blacks to get out of affirmative action and go for reparations.
I was getting ready to say that very clearly.
That's right.
You're saying affirmative action. Get away from that.
Get away from it.
Start talking specifically, succinctly about reparations.
That's right. And put your own self-interest first. Quit trying to be altruistic and trying to represent everybody. Every time there's a march for anybody, you out there marching, leading the parade. You start saying, no, I'm gonna put my interest first, because and understand that God sent you here black. Blackness is your badge of honor, it's your exceptionality, it's your course to get out of this problem. Then what you do, then you say, I want to also rebuild my own communities. Go back and rebuild your own communities. Rebuild your own, and in those communities, do what you had before the 1960s. Rebuild, you put your own businesses in there. So right now, we do not have not one single community in America. All we got are black neighborhoods. And everybody else got communities. You cannot be a competitive group with neighborhoods. You got to have communities. And every group coming to America, the first thing they do in the West Coast, the Japanese, Asian, Arabs, anybody, they say first thing we're going to do is build communities. We're going to find somebody that look like us, build us a community. So you got Arab towns, Korea towns, China towns, Japan towns, little Saigons, you got little Havanas, little Hialeahs, you got little Italy, you got Greek towns, Pole town, Hockey town, any kind, but you never find a black town because we are integrated. And integration means you scattered and lost your power and your resources. And you cannot run a business with scattered resources. It can't be done. So you build your own communities, and a community is where you store your value, your culture, your history, your tax base, your jobs, and your employment opportunities. You store them in your own communities. That's why 98% of all these other groups, they have their own communities, spend their money with their own people. We got it backwards. We go to other people's community, we go to other people's jobs to help them, and only 2% of the blacks in America work in their own community, in their own neighborhoods for their own people and got jobs. And so you got to build these communities, then you start practicing group economics and group politics. You pull out all the parties, build your own black independent parties, move away from the Republican Party, pull out the Democratic Party, because neither one of them have your interests at heart, and create your own parties, but don't run any candidates. So we will vote for any candidate in the National Black Independent Party who would promise the most and deliver resources to black folk to correct the structural inequity we're into. And I go through politics, show you how to play the politics. Keep your money with your own people, hire your own people, practice group economics from the bottom to the top.
So this video is for like a lot of the young people or immigrants that don't know our history or don't know our story. We have a long history of elders that's paved the road, that already laid down the blueprint for Dr. Nellie Fuller Jr., the compensatory code. We have people that laid down the blueprint for how we should be moving. Now let me tell you guys something. Let me explain something to you. Reparations isn't just tangibles, money, land, or certain things that you need. Reparations start in the mind. Let me tell you something. See, what Dr. Claude Anderson is teaching you guys, that when we start to self-identify, we start to name ourselves, reclaim ourselves, we start to go against the narrative. We start to never again respond to what they called us. We start to name ourselves. That's a big difference. That's a big difference. We getting the Freddy Krueger now out of our mind. When we start to imagine and dream of ourselves outside of this current situation, because before you can create it, you have to first envision it, right? But remember the movie Freddy Krueger? I call this the Freddy Krueger effect. Remember when Freddy, when you go into the dream world, he kill you, he unalive you, and when he unalive you, you manifest nothing in the physical world. You're dead. Well, that's what the W man has done to us in our mind. Right? We start to respond to things that we are not. So look at the harvest that that comes out of it, right? We're planting seeds now. We're thinking futuristic. Reparations ain't for us of this generation. It's for our children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren going forward. We are planting the seeds now. So that way we're thinking futuristic. We're moving futuristic. We're moving 20, 30 years into the future. We're starting today. So we're planting the seeds now so that our grandchildren can have a better life or have it even better than what we've had. This is the way that we're moving. We're starting today. Right? We're no longer responding to something that we're not. We're no longer believing the lie. They told you that you was a nigga and you believed it. They told you that you was all these different things and you ran with it. Right? So now we have the Democratic Party, right, trying to bring in a bunch of immigrants as cosplayers. We're being gentrified out of communities. They're allocating funds for all these different groups that don't belong to us. Right? We already know how the Republicans historically has been racist. So what we have to do now is, well, I'm telling you, reparations is the repairing of the mind, because the minute we can come together on one accord and start moving with authority on what it is that we want, nobody can stop you. See, them giving you tangibles is worldly thing, but moving in a spiritual level where we're coming together now mentally and saying this is the way that we're moving, this is the way that we're operating. The reparations thing has already started. Because we already moved the needle. We already influenced the world. But remember, I always teach y'all, black dysfunction is profitable. How can black dysfunction be profitable? Because they got us in disarray. But the minute we start forming together like Voltron, and we start to now identify ourselves, and we no longer believe in a lie, we no longer are under control or in formation, now they're in trouble. Because the whole economy for many years have been based off of our dysfunction. From star athletes to our innovations and inventions, our music, our everything. The totality of our whole culture has moved the needle in America, and it's been American culture. We are more American than anybody because we was here from the beginning. But as long as they condition us to believe the lie and have us responding to things that we are not, we've always built empires for everybody else. So reparations first start here. And remember, our biggest fight is going to be against our own people, because you are trying to crowbar or turn or change a conditioning that's been inside of our people for a very long time. Most of our people can't see out of the world that they've been placed in. That's why they live on a Democratic plantation, even though it's giving them nothing, right? And they look at the Republicans as super racist and everything else, but they've lost the ability to dream or see themselves outside of their current situations. And our community is a direct reflection of that. Our kids in the streets is a direct reflection of that. When we get any level of success, we run away from our blackness and we run over there to East Bubble, you know what, to be around them. Henceforth, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and images like that, right? We run away from these things because of what they've done to us. We've lost our ability to see ourselves outside of our current situations and see ourselves in the positions of greatness. And until we repair that part, nothing else is going to matter. Nothing else is going to work. And this is what Dr. Claude Anderson was trying to teach us. In order to implement the things that he's talking about, it must first start up here. You must first have reparations in your mind. You must first believe that you even deserve it. And believe and see yourself in the positions of being able to maintain it. You have to be able to envision that. The power of imagination. The precursor to life's becoming attractions. Things call things into existence. Right? And don't have Freddy Krueger there to kill your dreams. That Freddy Krueger effect is real. We got to get rid of all that. Right? So I just want us to understand that Tariq Nasheed didn't create this. Right? These are things that's already been set in place. And it's just waiting for us now to come together to implement it. So what I'm saying is, you can have a reparations clause, you can have everything. But if your mindset ain't changed, if you ain't ready to go into a new kingdom by the renewing of your mind, then nothing's going to happen. We have to have a total mindset change. And that's why I like FBA, because we're no longer going with the old status quo. So y'all got to let me know what y'all think. If you made it this far in the video, hit that like button, subscribe to Street Media TV, leave your comments in the comment section. Remember, I love y'all. Till the next time, peace.